Everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ifeoluwa Ishola. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for sticking and always returning back to my channel. And if you are new here, welcome to the family. Please go through some of my videos. If you like the vibes here, which I feel you will, click on the subscribe button and I'll be so glad to have you join the family. In today's video, I will be talking to you about some important tips that we learned when we're about moving house, or should I say things you should look out for when renting an apartment and when you're about moving out of an apartment so you don't get to lose your deposit. Okay, so if this sounds like something you are interested in, come on, sir. Okay, guys, like I mentioned earlier on, I will be sharing tips with you, and these are things that I learned personally from my experiences, things that we picked up from what we had to go through last year when we were about changing our apartment, and these are things that I felt is not really being talked about much because I actually did not get enough information about that, and that could have led to a lot of much more. It could have led to a lot of things if we had not, been proactive in what we did. So I just felt to share that tips with you all. If you are in the United Kingdom, you are a tenant renting a house, what you need to look out for when you're about leaving the house, what you need to be careful and mindful of so you do not lose your deposit, right? So I know before you rent an apartment in the United Kingdom, usually what happens is you get to pay what we call a deposit or a bond. So what this means is usually an equivalent of a month rent, and usually you have like an £100 extra or £200 extra, depending on probably your letting agency or if you rented from the landlord directly or something like that. It depends, but you're definitely going to pay either a deposit or a bond, depending on whatever they call it, with your first month rent. Yeah. So usually what happened is that bond or that deposit is expected to be returned back to you whenever you live in the house or whenever you decide that you're done living in that kind of house and you want to move into another house. You expected to get that money back. Now the reason why they usually ask you for a deposit or a bond is if there should be any issue of probably furniture being spoiled, appliances having issues, things that that they know that you're probably the one who spoiled it while you were in that house, then they would use that money to, repair or refurbish or repair actually whatever it is that you spoiled. That's the key word. If you are the one that spoil it, that's when they remove your money. If not, it's expected that the month you decide to leave the house, your bond or your deposit should be returned back to you after necessary checks are carried out, necessary supervisions and inspections are done, and then you get your money back and everybody is fine. Now, if you remember in my last video, I talked about the fact that we've changed our apartment, we had to leave where we were, last year. It started, due to a lot of reasons, majorly because of mold, which I feel like is like a major issue with the UK houses. So there's usually this mold that comes out during the winter, and the excuse usually is because there's not a lot of ventilation, there's a lot of condension, which is why there's mold and things like that. And the dangerous thing about mold is it affects your health without you even noticing. So you might probably just start to notice you're having dry coughs, you're constantly having chest pains and things like that, and you don't even know this because of the mold you are inhaling because it goes into the hair, you can't see it, and I think because it's a fungi, if I'm correct, it's really hard to detect on time. So mold is dangerous, literally. I've read stories of children who died because of mold. I've read stories of, it's a dangerous thing. Don't even let me paint it more than it's supposed to. It is a dangerous thing. It started affecting our health as well. I mean, when we moved here, when we moved to the house 2 years ago, we weren't really bothered about the mood at that time because we were so desperate to live where we were at first. That is like the first house we got when we came into the United Kingdom. We were so desperate to live there to have our own space because then we were sharing, right? So when we moved to that place, we moved. Sometimes it was summer, so we actually did not notice anything was wrong. Everything was fine. The house was good. It was what we wanted, situated in the heart of the city. Everything was just fine. It was literally some minute walk to my school. Then I was still schooling. So it was just in that perfect space that you would wanted. A stone throw to the church, stone throw to all the stores, and everything was in a perfect location. And we really enjoyed living there. Only for us to enter into winter, and then we started noticing the hidden secrets or the hidden mysteries in the house. Yeah, the mold started coming out. And at first, we did not even have issues with it because, I mean, we'd usually clean that every 2 weeks. We had this mold cleaner, talked to a lot of people. They shared with us the kind of mold cleaner to use. So we'd usually clean that. But, part of the health hazard of these things is because you're using chemicals to clean this mold, you're inhaling the chemicals as well. So we are inhaling chemicals, we are inhaling mold, and then it just started causing a lot of dry cough. Started with my husband having dry coughs just for a longer stretch without we even knowing what is happening. We never knew it was really because of mold. So when we went through that last year summer, which is now 2 years winter rather, we went through that. So we decided, next year's winter we need to leave before we get into the winter period. Now that's 2023, right? So when we got into around, I think, June, I felt so sick, and I was having cough, chest pain, and everything. And even at this time, we never knew that it was because of the mold, right? So I was just sick, trying to make sure I was fine. And then July, we decided, you know what, it's time. We just need to leave the house. So we started apartment hunting again, calling all agents and all. And if you are in the UK, you will know hunting for an apartment in the United Kingdom. It's stressing. So we started calling, going for viewing, trying to get a place as well. We just wanted a place that would be comfortable with, a place we would like, and a place that does not have mood. That's like the number one criteria that we're looking out for. So to cut the long story short, sharp, we finally found a house, and then it was time for us to move. So we moved from the house, tried our best to make sure the house was clean. And for, I mean, living with the kind of person I married, is a very dandy, clean person. So usually our house is always, if not next to spotless, is always clean. So we left there, everything was clean, all appliances were working fine, and everything was perfect. We left it there, and then we moved to this apartment that we're in, right? So usually what happens is after you move, your landlord or your letting agent is supposed to go to the house, they do an inspection, and then confirm that there's nothing wrong, and then refund your money back to you. So that was all what we expected, and we went through the same process as well where we are right now, where you have to pay the first month rent, and then you pay a bond or a deposit as well. So we had so many hopes banked on the deposit that we're expecting to be refunded from our previous house. So only for us to get, I think, Ola, are you okay? Okay. So only for us to get a message from our landlady saying, "Oh, they've gone to check the house. The house is having mold, congestion, blah 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 blah, and because of that, they're not going to refund our bond. They will use our bond for refurbishing and repainting." That's what annoyed me. Refurbishing and repainting. Why we use our money for one thing, jẹ́ kí n mọ English tí mo fẹ́ sọ. Why we use our money for refurbishing and repainting? That's not even the problem of the house. The house has mold. It needs to be like scraped and properly taken care of, not to like paint it and then make it look nice. Because if I'll be sincere, when we moved in as well, the house was all painted. So it was all clean, and good. And the issue with mold is he can only hide. Yeah, like what's that word? Like he can only hide for just a small, short period of time. At the end of the day, it's going to start coming out again, right? So when we got that message, I was so shocked and angry, and so I replied her back that unfortunately, I'm afraid we cannot accept this decision because you know about the mold. We've always complained to you about the mold. There was even a time I sent a picture, a video of how the house was. I think I'll try and insert the video somewhere here. I sent it to her. They promised to come clean with the chemicals and everything. They did not show up. Oh. They did not show up. So we were the one cleaning and all of a sudden you're saying you're going to use our money for repainting and refurbishing. From where? So I said no, that I refused. So she decided to say, oh, okay, since we can't agree on them using our money, then we should take the matter up for disputes settlement or something. So we just said, no problem. We're ready to go there. Let's go, to have a mediator. We submit all evidence we have and things like that. Now, which is going to make me start with my first point that whatever part of the house or whatever kind of house you're moving into, whether it's an apartment, is a duplex, is a shared apartment, is whatever kind of apartment you're moving into, please and please always have evidence. Always take pictures, always take videos. Just make sure that you keep record of everything from the day you actually packed into the house. Try to get a video of how the house was, any defect, anything that you notice that you met in that house. Please take pictures, take videos, because you probably might need it at the end of the day. So, and also another thing I would say is ask for inventory, right? They're going to tell you they are going to take inventory, but they did not give us the inventory, and that was what happened. Because when we moved into the house, mind you, it was a furnished apartment. And what that means is we have like the basic things in the house, which means it comes with the kitchen furnished, it comes with the living room furnished, it comes with bed, it comes with mattresses, it comes with wardrobe, like it's literally a furnished house, so you don't get to do much. So that was the kind of apartment we had, and they said they took inventory. Now, the mistake we did was we did not ask for the copy of that inventory that was taken before we moved into the house. So there was no way to compare and contrast if we both had the same list of inventory and things like that. But thankfully, we didn't even have issues with electrical things being spoiled or anything. Anyway, it was later on. It's still a long story. Just stay with me. So, that is it. They're going to tell you they take inventory. Ask for a copy of that inventory that you want to have that inventory with you as well. So I've given you two tips. Make sure you are snapping, taking videos, doing every. See, I can't even tell you how much this channel helped me, because there are a lot of videos that I filmed in the house, and probably I noticed things at the background. I had to, take a screenshot or send a video or send a link or something like that. So take videos, take screenshots, take photographs. Just be anything evidence, so that you know go and explain tire. Just be taking videos, pictures, and everything like that. So another thing I'm going to talk about as well is try to make sure your communication with either your landlord or your letting agency is in emails or in WhatsApp. Something that you can have a trace to, something that you can have an evidence of, something you can, that can be stored and traced back, if you get what I mean, because that saved us a lot as well. A lot of our WhatsApp messages that we're exchanging with the landlord saved us, because we'd always talked about it in the conversation. Now, you would start to notice that some of them would want to, avoid that. Yeah. Some of them will want to avoid that and tell you, oh, we're going to come over tomorrow and then we'll have this discussion. Even if you had the discussion, send them an email and start with regards to the discussion we just had, and give a little summary of that, just so you have evidence. See, I cannot even stress it enough. You need evidence at every single point in time. So make sure that even when your communication with your letting agency or your landlord is, verbally, always make sure you follow it up with a message, to let them know so they acknowledge. Or always make sure that when you're having conversations with them, either on WhatsApp or email, it is actually documented for you to be able to go back and trace, because that saved us it saved us a lot of headaches as well. And another thing I'm going to tell you as well is try your best to always be open with whatever it is you're not comfortable with. Now, for us, when we moved into the house and we started noticing these things, our first mistake was the fact that we felt it should be our responsibility to take care of the mold in the house, in which you have to be learned, you have to research based on the Housing Act that, protects tenants in the United Kingdom. It's not your responsibility as a tenant to take care of mold or clean the mold. It's your responsibility actually to make sure that your house is ventilated, to make sure that you don't have congestion. That means that you try your best to make sure that your windows are open so there's enough ventilation. When you're cooking, the extractor is on. When you're baking, the extractor is on. Just do your best to make sure that the house get enough ventilation. Now, when there's still now mold or condension actually, then make sure that you report to the landlord, because it is the landlord's duty to make sure that the house is habitable, is conducive enough for someone to live in. And when issues with mold start, it is their responsibility as well to make sure that they look at it, do whatever it is that they can do. If it is something that needs a longer time, they need to move you out of the house, probably give you some time to leave so they can work on the house, right? So that is it. So you need to be knowledgeable. You need to know the act that guides the tenant rights of your county or wherever region you find yourself, because it's possible that the tenant rights that guides people in Wales is different from those in Scotland, is different for those in England, and so forth, Ireland as well. So make sure you research, go to your government website and search for your tenant rights, search for your landlord rights, search for the living, is it the Home Living Act? I'll find the correct word and put on the link on the screen, but make sure that you're knowledgeable enough. Now, another thing I'll suggest is whenever you have your deposits collected by either the landlord or the letting agents, within 14 days, make sure that that deposit is secured with one of these deposit protection scheme. I think we have about two or three of them, not so sure, but definitely your deposit needs to be protected. It needs to be, it needs to be. I wanted to say your deposit needs to be deposited with one of the deposition scheme. But actually, that makes sense. That's where you're supposed to be anyway. So make sure that you receive confirmation within 14 days of the kind of letting agency or the kind of housing organization that your deposit is protected with, basically, because what that does is to help settle whatever misunderstanding that might come up between you and your landlord or you and your letting agency. So you should make sure that is done. If within 14 days you did not receive any email saying your deposit has been protected with a particular scheme or something, please follow it up. Follow it up, because that is going to save you a lot of headache. And I was so glad our deposit was protected with a scheme, because they were actually the one who had to step in when we had, disputes with our landlord, when we weren't just agreeing with the fact that all our deposit was going to go to refurbishing and repainting, when what the house needed was actually proper scraping down and making sure the house is good and conducive for another person that is going to move into the house. So make sure your deposit is protected, that you have your login details and you have unnecessary information. Make sure that is done. Now, another thing I'm going to talk about is try your best to make sure that your house is neat. And I know it sounds funny, but that's just the truth, because I mean, for the number of months or for the number of years that you will be renting that apartment, it is your home for that number of years. It is your home for that number of months. So treat it as if it's your property, basically, because at the end of the day, it will give you that courage to be able to fight for whatever it is. And I think that was what helped us to get our deposit back, because we were ready to go to any length, because we knew we took care of the house as if it was our house. We knew that, we looked after every single corner of the house, making sure things are rightly put in place. We never treated it as if it wasn't, like our personal house, because we made it our home. So therefore, we're ready to go to any length, when we were accused of not ventilating the house or not doing this or not doing that, like we're ready to go to any length for that. So at the end of the day, of course, we went for disputes, settlement, or what is it called when you have a mediator ask you to submit all evidences, and things like that. So we went through that for almost a month plus, and thankfully, to the glory of God, we won. Oh, we won. We got our money back. We won, yes. So that is what I want. That is part of the things I want to talk about, and I'll just give you a rundown of that. First thing first is to always have an inventory. Have a copy of the inventory of the house. That is if you move into a furnished apartment. I think for unfurnished, you probably do not get to have inventory because there's literally nothing in the house. But if you are moving to a furnished house, make sure you have an inventory. Get a copy of the inventory and then make sure you cross check with what you have in the house that is the same with what they have on the inventory. Number two, always take pictures, take videos. See, take it, my sister, become that vlogger. Okay, this is not about vlogging for YouTube or anything. Vlog for yourself. If you enter into that kitchen and you see one thing that you know you didn't cause, I'm not saying people will go and spoil something now and I'm taking picture that you say you're not the one who know. But when you move into the house, make sure you go around every single corner of the house. Take pictures, take videos, whatever happened, take pictures, take videos, and please save them because you never know what might happen. And another thing is always make sure you have a track record of your conversations, please, either by email or WhatsApp or text messages. Always have a written form of communication, something that you can trace back to. Don't always rely on calls, don't always rely on face to face conversations because see, you think you know everyone. You you think that oh you know this person, oh this person is nice, blah 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 blah. My sister, take evidence, okay? Have all your evidence. Make sure you have your conversations in black and white basically and keep it with you. Now another thing I also talked about is to make sure that your deposit is saved and protected with a deposit protection scheme. Now that's the name of the one I know that we used in our previous house, but there are a lot of schemes like that. But the major point rather is to make sure that your deposit is protected with a scheme within the first 14 days of you moving into the house. If you do not receive any confirmation in your email that your deposit has been protected by so organization or association, after 14 days, please take it up. Take it off and make sure your deposit is protected in order to avoid stories that touches you get. Yeah. Now the last point I'm gonna add is see, never assume that you know anybody. See, never assume that, oh, don't let us do this. It's going to be like, see, my people, come closer. We Africans, come closer. You know, there's a way we think for people. Is in our culture to think for people, to act for people. We usually tend not to react to some things at times because we just feel like, oh, it's not needed. Oh, I don't want issues. Oh, I don't want problem. Look for it. Look for it. No, don't even try to say, oh no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, because that almost landed us into trouble. Because when we started having issues, everyone told us to report to the environmental health, to report to the council, to make sure that we, take people along, make sure that we escalate it. Even when I was in the hospital and, my nurse asked me the question if we had issues of mold in the house, because I was complaining of chest pain and everything. And I said yes. The first thing she said was to report as well. But we were doing, oh no, we don't want trouble. Oh, I don't want to report. Oh, no, our clinical is nice. Our landlord, our letting agent is nice. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. My sister, report. Well, send that email, make that call, write that letter, report, escalate it. Whatever will happen, will happen. Because you are the one that is thinking you don't want trouble. Well, by the time the tables turn, it will shock you. Like the side of the person you're gonna see is going to shock you that you even be wondering, is this the same person I've knew for years? Is it the same letting agent? Is it the same landlord? Is it the same? Tables turn quickly, and trust me, nobody cares. Everybody is just after their own interest. So before you start thinking too deeply about, oh, I don't want to cause trouble, oh, I don't want this to this and that, pause it. Send that letter, write that email, escalate it, let everybody know you're going through more issues, is affecting your health. You've reported it to your letting agent or your landlord, nobody's doing anything about it. Escalate it. Don't take politeness for kindness, if that makes sense. Don't mix it together. It's not. It's two different things, okay? So don't mix it together. Don't think because somebody laughs with you guys gist, they come over to the house, you have fun, and then you automatically just believe that, oh my God, they're kind, these people are this, they are my friends. They're not that. They're just being polite, okay? When it comes to money, everybody don't like this. So please, never be scared to take the appropriate action. It's not because you want trouble. It's not because you're trying to stir up trouble. It's just because you're trying to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. That's all. So that everybody will be fine. Because I felt like if we had escalated this, earlier, we wouldn't have to go through all these deposits, distribution, and everything. Which I mean, at the end of the day, we won. But imagine that stress we had to go through compiling evidences, writing statutory reports, having to gather documents, just to make sure that we have enough evidences. We wouldn't have to go through all of that. So yes, make sure that you do the right thing at the right time. And the last thing I'm gonna say is research. See, research. No matter how many years you've used in that particular country, no matter how many years you've used in that particular city, there are still things that you do not know because it is not you that wrote the constitution. You did not build the city together with them. You don't know. There are still some key things that you need to find out. And I think that helped a lot because when we started having this dispute stuff, one is draining, trust me, it's draining to start compiling evidences and writing. Kamalero John Court, yeah, I don't like it. So it's draining actually, but at the same time, when we started to make research, that was when we knew about our tenant rights. That was when we knew about the Clinical Living Act 2019. I'm going to look for the name. That's when we knew about, people changing things. Because even, what even shocked us at the end of the day, right? We've all submitted we've all submitted things that we thought, that's like what is needed. Everybody had made their case. Yeah, that's the word. Everybody had made their case. We made ours, our landlord made theirs as well. And all of a sudden, when we got the ruling back, then we got to see that she added to it again, saying, oh, there are repairs and damages that we caused. How? How? We're the one that caused that, So that is for you to know that, see, you are the only one that is thinking, oh, I don't want trouble. Oh, this person is nice. I don't want to cause something for them. Cause it. Cause it. Okay? Yeah, so that's just what I want to talk about. Just make sure you do the necessary things when you're leaving the house as well, because I've gone for some house viewing that the situation tenants leave the house just because they are leaving is not good. So please, if you're leaving the house, try to make sure that you clean the house. At least try to put it in the same. It can't be the same as when you moved in, because I mean you've lived in the house anyway. It can't be new like how you moved in, but make sure it's clean. Make sure you do a lot, just a bit of cleaning here and there. And even if you cannot do the cleaning, I've come to understand that cleaning per hour is £12. So you can employ people to come do that. 2 hours of cleaning, that's £24 is enough. They're gonna do whatever they need to do and leave the house in the condition that at least you yourself will be proud enough to take up whatever case, should there be any case. But hopefully, and that is, we will not have the cause to talk. Anyway, we wouldn't have issues, so to say. So that's all I want to talk about. Thank you guys so much. I really hope this video is helpful. I really hope you've been able to pick one or two things. Like I said in my last video, we went through a lot last year. We learned a lot as well. And then you'll be seeing me here, sharing experiences with you, sharing tips with you, things that we learned that I would love, majority of us to learn as well as we go along in our journey of being an immigrant. Nobody's an island of knowledge. We are still living we are still tenants. Yeah. So please, if you have any more tips you want to add to what I've listed, please do well to drop in the comment section so I can learn. Every other person can learn as well, and I'd really, really appreciate it. So thank you guys for watching, and then I'll see you in the next one. Bye.